There is a place that is spoken about only in whispers, a dark area that spawns the beginnings of urban legends, a place where anything can happen and usually does. During the light of day, it hides just outside of view, but when the sun goes down, spirits, creatures of the night, roam free, and things do go bump in the night. It is in every state and every country, and there is no escaping it, no matter how safe you feel behind your locked doors and latched windows. So we invite you to turn down the lights and turn up your radio while we join Dave Schrader and Tim Dennis, your hosts, on a journey into the darkness on the edge of town.
Hello and welcome. You're tuned in to the best in paranormal talk radio. This is Darkness Radio. I'm your host, Dave Schrader. That guy over there, Tim Dennis, board monkey extraordinaire. Boy, it's been a while since I've called you a board monkey, Tim.
Yeah, a few years, yeah.
Well, I'm glad to revisit. Speaking of revisiting, Tim, maybe we made a bit of a rush judgment in changing and altering one thing going forward on our radio show. Because I have received countless emails, social media solicitations, in-person requests that there's one item that we said we were done with that people are begging me to bring back.
What's that, Dave?
Well, just a little stupid little element of the show, an earworm, a trigger that bothers me. And every time I hear it, I have to struggle. I have to maintain. Sometimes I even have to mute myself and not say it out loud. And I've thought, this has become a real psychological problem. But I guess I'm in good company, Tim, because I'm not the only one that when they hear this word triggers the onset of, I don't know, a strange reaction. As a matter of fact, I was surprised to hear that there's a major celebrity that has that same effect. As a matter of fact, in this clip we're about to play, two major celebrities, Tim. One of my favorite green fabric-y friends and Sandra Bullock. Let's go ahead and give it a listen.
All right.
Please come in, Mr. Frog. That'll be $100.
But I haven't said anything yet.
Yes, you did, just now.
Okay, well, I'll pay on the way out.
Then it'll be $150. Please, have a seat.
Oh, or here?
Yes. So what seems to be the problem?
Well, Doctor, I see these strange creatures every time I say the word, phenomena. Phenomena. Phenomena.
It's the strangest thing I've ever seen. Do you mind if I try it?
Or, sure.
Phenomena. 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 Phenomena.
Boy, you sure are crazy.
I know. You should see what happens when I say shave and a haircut.
2 bits.
Wow, that was worth $100.
$150.
What? So there you have it, folks. You wanted to hear it again. You needed the trigger word. You needed to hear the response. Tim and I didn't bring it, but I did have a couple of friends that helped you with that. So hopefully that earwig will stick, or earworm, not an earwig, two different things.
Yeah, they are.
Equally destructive, but
Yeah.
that's out there. I don't know if you know this, Tom, but it is the 50th anniversary of the Phenomena song.
Really?
It is.
Huh.
That's according to this article that came out 3 years ago.
Oh, good. Well,
So I guess
53, yeah.
holy,
Close enough.
that means it's the same age as me. No wonder I have this simpatico relationship with it, Tim.
Huh.
We were both born in 1967-ish, I guess. I don't know. Phenomena. Anyway, so there you go. And I've got an article I'll put up about it, folks, that will teach you all about the Phenomena song, and you can hear all the different variations of it, including one that was used in a Swedish porno. Yep. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Italian. The song, well, it originally appeared in a steamy film about Swedish sexuality. Then the song appeared in a racy Italian film called Svezia, Inferno e Paradiso. That means the fire in paradise.
I bet it
Or
was.
Sweden, heaven and hell, one of those things. It's in a scene where a bunch of Swedish models crowd into a sauna wearing little more than bath towels. Mana, do, 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 do. Boom. There you have it, Tim.
Probably more like manama manana.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it gives you all that information, and then it helps you, Tim. It helps you because there's actually a link in the story article on how you can defeat an earworm. So when you get that earworm and a song will not leave your head and it drives you to the point of insanity, there's a link within this article called How to Get Rid of an Earworm. So you're welcome.
Well, look at that.
There you go. You're welcome, friends. So what do you think? That's a way to start off the show. A lot of people are very upset that we gave up the Phenomena.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of them. They're like, it's just, Dave, come on. When you say it now or Tim says it, nobody follows it up, everybody at home is doing it themselves, which makes me laugh, I think, a little bit even harder. So the concept that they're all sweating and twitching, knowing that we should be saying do, but we don't, Tim. Well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Sometimes a self-prophesizing joke is okay. Yeah.
I concur. Tim, I have some news you're not going to like.
Uh-oh. What's that?
Breaking news from the CDC. The CDC wants you to prepare for a zombie apocalypse. Yes, you read that right.
Oh, Dave.
Splashed across the cover of USA Today a little more than 24 hours ago. If zombies were to start roaming the streets, yes, we said zombies. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention wants you prepared. In the midst of providing guidelines on an unprecedented pandemic, the Center for Disease Control updated tips to prepare for another extreme occurrence, the zombie apocalypse.
Sure.
While CDC says it began as a tongue-in-cheek campaign, it actually has become a practical guide for all emergencies. But it is stressing that we should be prepared for the zombie apocalypse. You may laugh now, they say, but when it happens, you'll be happy you read this. The CDC wrote on its website. And hey, maybe you'll even learn a thing or two about how to prepare for a real emergency.
Yeah, a real emergency, Dave.
Real they giveth, and they taketh away.
Yeah.
So what would happen if zombies were to start roaming the streets? The CDC says it would conduct an investigation, as it would for any disease outbreak, and provide assistance to states until it could determine the cause of said outbreak and how it could be treated and stopped. The CDC listed guidelines to follow to be safe rather than sorry. The first step is to prepare for zombies or any disaster. Create an emergency kit with essentials to last a few days. I got it. I'm ready for that. The kit should include a gallon of water per day for each person, non-perishable food items, medications, tools and supplies, sanitation and hygiene products, clothing and bedding, important documents, and first aid supplies, according to the CDC. I've got my kits all set up. Next, you should create an emergency plan when a zombie is outside your door. This includes identifying the types of emergencies possible in your area, such as tornadoes, earthquakes, or the dead rising from the grave to eat your flesh. To prepare for that situation, you make a list of your emergency contacts. You should also pick a place to evacuate to and make an evacuation plan, which includes a designated meeting place for you and those you live with to regroup. This blog is especially relevant given the pandemic and lasts months. For extreme winter weather in Texas, it caused 4 million people to go without power for days. Texans and its power grid were unprepared for freezing temperatures and heavy snowfall, leaving many stranded and helpless without power or water. The The CDC blog, which was originally posted back in 2011, received 1,450 comments, most of which praised the agency for its approach to disaster preparedness. It presents a disaster in a manner that I can actually entice my family into discussion, and it will provide some assistance for any potential disaster as well, wrote commenter Shellabella.
Shellabella?
So Shellabella's weighing in. I think it's great. John Selleck, a professor in the Jacobs School of Medicine and Biomedical Sciences at the University of Buffalo, told Yahoo, as we've seen with coronavirus, disaster preparedness is crucial. Be ready for the zombie apocalypse. Interesting. Be ready. CDC put it out on their site. I think it's a soft reveal, dude.
Figuratively, Dave. Be ready for the zombie apocalypse. Figuratively, not literally. Figuratively.
I don't know. Maybe after this next news story, which happens to be an audio daily double, Tim, you might start feeling different. Because Earth's north magnetic pole is on the move. And what does that mean to all of us? Our protective shield might soon go into transformation that could threaten the lives on Earth. Let's go ahead and listen to the experts.
Did you know that Earth has two North Poles? There's the geographic North Pole, which never changes, and there's the magnetic North Pole, which is always on the move. And right now, it's moving faster than usual. Over the last 150 years, the magnetic North Pole has casually wandered 685 miles across northern Canada. But right now, it's racing 25 miles a year to the northwest. This could be a sign that we're about to experience something humans have never witnessed before: a magnetic polar flip. And when this happens, it could affect much more than just your compass.
Right now on the surface of the planet, it looks like it's just a bar magnet, right? Our compasses are just pointing toward one pole at a time because there's a dominant two-pole dipole system.
But sometimes, Earth doesn't always just have a single magnetic north and south pole. Evidence suggests that for hundreds to thousands of years at a time, our planet has had 4, 6, and even 8 poles at a time. This is what has happened when the magnetic poles flipped in the past. And when it happens again, it won't be good news for humans. Now you might think that 8 poles must be better than 2, but the reality is that multiple magnetic fields would fight each other. This could weaken Earth's protective magnetic field by up to 90% during a polar flip. Earth's magnetic field is what shields us from harmful space radiation, which can damage cells, cause cancer, and fry electronic circuits and electrical grids. With a weaker field in place, some scientists think this could expose planes to higher levels of radiation, making flights less safe. This could also disrupt the internal compass in many animals, which use the magnetic field for navigation. Even more extreme, it could make certain places on the planet too dangerous to live. But what exactly will take place on the surface is less clear than what will undoubtedly happen in space. Satellites and crewed space missions will need extra shielding that we'll have to provide ourselves. Without it, intense cosmic and solar radiation will fry circuit boards and increase the risk of cancer in astronauts. Our modern way of life could cease to exist. We know this because we're already seeing a glimpse of this in an area called the South Atlantic Anomaly. Turns out, the direction of a portion of the magnetic field deep beneath this area has already flipped. And scientists say that's one reason why the field has been steadily weakening since 1840. As a result, the Hubble Space Telescope and other satellites often shut down their sensitive electronics as they pass over the area. And astronauts on the International Space Station report seeing a higher number of bright flashes of light in their vision, thought to be caused by high-energy cosmic rays that the weaker field can't hold back. Since experts started measuring the anomaly a few decades ago, it has grown in size and now covers a fifth of Earth's surface, with no signs of shrinking anytime soon. This is so extreme that it could be a sign we're on the brink of a polar flip, or we may already be in the midst of one. But scientists remain skeptical, mainly because
The last thing the poles reversed was 780,000 years ago. So it's not, we don't have an oral record of.
Turns out 780,000 years is over double the time that Earth usually takes between flips.
Since the last mass extinction, there have been reversals roughly every 300,000 years.
So what gives? Well, scientists haven't figured it out yet. It's unnerving to think that our modern way of life, banking, the stock exchange, missile tracking, GPS, relies on the outcome of something we can neither predict nor control. One study went so far as to estimate that a single giant solar storm today could cost the U.S. up to $41.5 billion a day in damages. And that's with the Earth's magnetic field at its current strength. It's frightening to even imagine the devastation a storm would bring to an Earth with a magnetic field only 10% as strong as it is now. We may not be able to stop a polar flip, but we can at least start to take measures to minimize the damage. The first step? Figure out what's going on with this wacky field. On the hunt are the European Space Agency's swarm satellites that are currently collecting the most precise data on the strength of Earth's magnetic field. Right now, they could be our greatest hope for solving this riddle.
So there you have it. Polar flips, polar plunges. We're all about the polar sides here, Tim. You could even call us bipolar. That's how much we enjoy polar parts.
We like the poles.
That is weird when it's 8 poles better than 2.
Well,
you'd think.
You would think.
Especially, poor Santa, he'd have like different places he could visit all the time because if there's like 8 North Poles, Tim, it's like he has summer houses.
Santa deserves vacation homes. That's all I can
Agreed.
pull out of this deal. Yeah.
But that, you know what? That news story to me flew way under the radar for most people. And that it's, on USA Today, it's a truly based science deal. And that if, like me, you're paying attention to that entire article that they just shared with us, we may already be in the middle of this polar flip. Everybody keeps talking about this big change, this big thing coming, and that they can sense it. That would make sense if they're theoretically sensing this polar flip and the dramatic life changes that could come with it. So you thought 2020 sucked. Oh, yeah, we're in for a world of hurt. But, Dave, what are the chances we're going to see strange anomalies like that take place in our lifetime? Well, I'm glad you asked, Tim, because a space hurricane was pictured hovering above the North Pole for about 8 hours. Yeah, you heard that. A space hurricane, Tim. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we now have space hurricanes to worry about. For the first time, scientists have spotted what they're calling a space hurricane spinning above the North Pole, according to a new study. The roughly 600-mile wide swirling mass of plasma was located several hundred miles from the North Pole and rained electrons instead of water, according to the study. Until now, it was uncertain that this space hurricane could even exist. So to prove this with such a striking observation is incredible, said study co-author Mike Lockwood, a space scientist at the University of Reading in the UK, said in a statement. The observations made by satellites in August 2014 were only uncovered during retrospective analysis led by scientists from the Shandong University in China. The phenomena would be an incredible sight, but it's like no one saw this particular space hurricane. It would be visible to the naked eye, Lockwood told USA Today, but because the event is over the pole, you would have to be at a very high latitude to see it. Authors say further study is needed, especially because geomagnetic activity can disrupt GPS satellites. Yeah. The space hurricane spotted by the research team in Earth's ionosphere was spinning in a counterclockwise direction like hurricanes do in the northern hemisphere, had multiple spiral arms, and lasted 8 hours before gradually breaking down. In many ways, a space hurricane resembles hurricanes we're familiar with down here on Earth's lower atmosphere. Tropical storms and hurricanes occur in Earth's lower atmosphere over warm bodies of water, such as oceans and gulfs. When warm, moist air rises, it creates an area of low pressure near the surface that sucks in the surrounding air, causing extremely strong winds and creating clouds that lead to heavy rain. Tropical storms are associated with huge amounts of energy. And those space hurricanes must be created by unusually large and rapid transfer of solar wind energy and charged particles into the Earth's upper atmosphere, Lockwood said. Hurricanes like those we have here on Earth have also been seen in the lower atmospheres of Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, while enormous solar tornadoes. Yeah, Tim, you heard that. Solar tornadoes have been seen in the atmosphere of the sun.
It's a scary concept.
Yeah.
The
existence of space hurricanes in the upper atmosphere of planets has not been detected before. Plasma and magnetic fields in the atmosphere of planets exist through the universe, so the findings suggest space hurricanes should be a widespread phenomena. Lockwood said. I don't know if he said the do-do-do-do-do
He
part.
probably did. Yeah, everybody does now.
In addition, according to the study, the fact that the space hurricane occurred during a period of low geomagnetic activity suggests they could be more relatively common within our solar system and beyond. This highlights the importance of improved monitoring of space weather, which can disrupt GPS systems. I like the fact that there was a huge solar space hurricane over the North Pole for 8 hours back in August of 2014, and nobody noticed it till 2021. We're not real on it. That's what makes me nervous about, some kind of asteroid or meteor heading towards Earth, that they haven't noticed or talked to us about yet.
Well, they always say with an asteroid, we won't know, or we wouldn't know until it's almost on top of us. So that's the scary thing about, forecasting an asteroid that's going to hit Earth. I mean, they can, they can tell you that there's an asteroid projected that it's on its course towards us, and that they can project that it should miss us. But a true asteroid that's going to hit us, they will not know until it's right on top of us.
Crazy. Crazy. We have a shit ton of emails and news this week. I really don't even know. This might be a 5-hour extravaganza today. Let me dive into this quick email. Dear Dave, as I listened to Darkness Radio a month ago, I started reflecting on my own thoughts and beliefs about dying and taking the leap to the other side. I helped my mother when she was dying and so very afraid. I told her that her grandmother, along with Jesus, would reach down and pull her through the gap between the world and the next. Listening to you and Tim discuss this topic, I could tell Tim was frustrated with you. He kept emphasizing the many experiences you've had, and yet you still have a hard time knowing there is an afterlife. In college, I was assigned a little book by C.S. Lewis called The Great Divorce. In this short story, C.S. Lewis takes the reader along with the newly dead on a bus trip. It sounds silly, but his writing style invites the reader to participate in this journey from death to the horizon of heaven. In essence, the story is a divorce from one's preconceived notions about heaven and hell. Please read this story, Dave. C.S. Lewis is a master at bending the reader's mind. I found it a turning point in my soul's perception of the afterlife. I had my own insight as I listened to you and Tim banter. From your own investigations at haunted places, you know that your eyes need time to adjust to a moonless night or a dark, unlit basement. You need a few moments to see through the dark. Every person has their own adjustment period before the images around them come into a diluted focus. Perhaps, and this is just a thought of mine, during the times you experienced dying and seeing only darkness, you had not yet adjusted to your surroundings. I like that. The time between dying and coming back to life was not enough of a period for you to shift your sight to seeing through the dark. Try thinking of a darkness as the color black. The color black is really all colors blended together. It is not the absence of light, but an overwhelming saturation of all colors. Darkness is also necessary in this world. Well, we've known that for 15 years, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
Our bodies find sync with day and night, light and day. Without darkness, our bodies would not find the rest it needs to recover from the hectic days we travel through. Darkness can be like a warm blanket keeping us safe from scary things. Why else would we pull the covers over our heads when confronted by apparitions, unknown voices, and dangers? I don't know about you, but it's because I have blessed 1,300 thread count Egyptian cotton sheets, Tim, that are able to repel all types of evil.
Look at you, bougie boy.
This is my last thought. I recently came across a reflective piece from a book called Little Lessons from the Saints by Bob Burnham. A quote from St. Anselm baffled me. The believer does not seek to understand that he may believe, but he believes that he may understand, for unless he believed, he would not understand. That's Burnham, page 79. And I think to understand that, I'm going to need to burn a little something, Tim.
Well, not necessarily. Yeah. Just open your mind, fool.
Could be. It took me a couple of times reading the reflection of those words before I began to perceive what he was saying. If you wish, you can read the reflection below by Bob Burnham and determine for yourself if his words open a new door to belief. Never mind if you like to dance or not. Sincerely, a fan of Darkness Radio, Michelle L. Prom. There's another Michelle Prom in Minnesota. Well, thank you for separating yourself from that other Michelle Prom. We appreciate it. So here's the quote. On our pilgrimage toward God, it can be helpful to look at the starting point of our journey. Why do I believe what I believe? I remember asking myself that question. Why should I believe in God? When I was an undergraduate at the Elmhurst College, I had to read about St. Anselm and the ontological proof for the existence of God in a theology course. Anselm's argument went something like this. Let's define God as the greatest of all beings. Now, if God is something that we just make up, then God exists in our mind, but not in reality. We should be able to imagine something greater than God, but we can't do that. Remember, we defined God in such a way that there is no being greater than God. Therefore, if God exists in the mind, then God exists in reality. I think Anselm's argument contains a deeper truth about God. Since God exists in my mind, the way I think about God changes the way I encounter God in the world. Similarly, the way I encounter God in the world changes the way I think about God. Thus, my pilgrimage is a dance between my experience of God and my understanding of God. And like any good dancer, I am less interested in being correct as I am in moving in harmony and grace. That's from Burnham's book, page 79 and page 80. Michelle L. Prom, the Michelle from Minnesota that we're chatting with. Thank you so much for those insights. I appreciate it. I know it frustrates Tim. It frustrates a lot of people. They're like, Dave, you've seen it. You've been there. You've done these things. How can you still question? Sometimes I think it's more fear than question. It's just, I believe there's phenomena taking place. I just don't know what kind. Is it time slip? Are these intelligent beings we're seeing from multi-universes? Are we legitimately seeing the disincarnate soul of a human? I don't know yet. And it's that not knowing that drives me mad. Mad, I say.
I had a thought recently, and it's one that could blow even the most skeptic. It could blow their mind in a minute if you think about it. If they subscribe to quantum physics and they say, well, if they believe in quantum physics, you could say that with all the believers that go to church on Sunday, if they believe with all their hearts that God exists, then they truly have, in the realm of quantum physics, believe God into existence. Just simply put.
Okay. I like it. You're a smart man, Tim. That's why I'm partnered up with you. Somebody's got to carry the weight load of intellectual thought. I just like to look at shiny things. That's my place. Dave, I apologize for how slowly I'm writing my stories. I've been busy as all heck. 3 times in my life, I was awoken in the middle of the night because someone was grabbing my toesies. I would wake up to see a dark figure, and it would slowly disappear, except for the 3rd time. I didn't see anything, but I heard a growl like an angry animal. I yelled at it to leave. It wasn't welcome in my home. All 3 instances happened in 3 different houses that I lived. Next, before I was married, I came home from work one night, turned the TV on to watch a Cleveland Indians versus New York Yankees playoff game. I didn't even take my shoes or jacket off. I was eager to catch the rest of the game. Then, all of a sudden, I heard the loudest bangs I'd ever heard in my life. There was a staircase on the other side of the wall where the TV was. That's exactly where it came from. It was 3 loud bangs on 3 stairs, 3 times. I sat there on the couch just staring in fear, waiting for something to walk around the corner. I knew I was alone and was frantically thinking what I would do if something came around the corner. Thankfully, nothing ever did. This story happened right after I was married. It was the middle of the night and the smoke detector went off right above me. I sat up and waved my hand at the smoke detector. I then jumped out of bed, turned the light on, and I saw a green mist hovering over the smoke detector. It then slowly disappeared into the ceiling and the smoke detector went off. I then checked other rooms to make sure everything was okay. I went back to bed and didn't say anything to my wife until morning. I asked her if she saw anything. She said she saw a green mist. Another night I was having trouble falling asleep. Every time I was about to fall asleep, some noise would wake me up. Finally, the last noise came from my bedroom. It sounded like a plastic comb was snapped against the sink. I got up and checked it out, but nothing. So I went to bed and actually fell asleep. The next day, my wife said she felt the bed move and saw me sit on the edge of the bed. She then noticed me sleeping next to her. She said she thought it was my dad who passed away about 3 years earlier. She closed her eyes and was afraid to move. I have more stories to share, Dave. I'll keep writing as I have time to. Good luck with everything. And that comes from Jeff Riggy. Riggy. All right, I got you. Hey, guys, just wanted to take a moment to tell you I think you're doing amazing work. This coming from someone whose first experience was at the age of 8 and continued on for most of my life. I imagine Hans Holzer is well pleased with you picking up where he left off. I've done investigations and produced a radio show, Mysteries Explained. The way you go about it is different than most, and the research is second to none. Quite an analytical mind you have. Thank you. Wish you well in your journeys. Keep up the outstanding work, and that comes from James Gypsy Nagy. Thank you, James Gypsy Nagy.
Yeah.
Dear Tim and Dave. Wait, hang on. Maybe I'm reading this wrong. Dear Tim and Dave. No, that's the way he wrote it. Thought I'd give Tim the first shout out because I love his humor and feel sometimes he doesn't get his due.
Aw.
Whatever. Whatever. Come on. Just Dave and Tim. That's all I'm asking, folks. What the hell? And to this reason, I'm writing to you guys. I've been listening to the show for years and have called in and talked to you a few times. Dave, you are one of the best interviewers in the business. The questions you ask your guests are so well thought out and cover all the angles. Listening to your show and how many times it seems you catch them off guard with your questions, they're like, wow, that's a good one. Or even like they never thought of that before. Now, to your other show, The Holzer Files. I watched a couple of the other ghost shows and thought they were cheesy. I got Discovery Plus, binged all your shows. Holy shit, they're awesome. That's exactly what he wrote, Tim. Oh. I can't believe the show is so good. Actually, I can because you're doing it. And that Cindy is so accurate with her ratings. Blows my mind what you guys find out. I need more episodes, so let's get out there and find more ghosts. Sorry for not watching when I should have and helping with the ratings. Now I tell everyone about it. Can't wait for more. Thank you for all the years of entertainment. Tim and Dave, you guys are awesome. Please keep it up. Thank you. Michael France. That's who wrote to us. Michael France.
Well, thank you.
Michael Fracky. I don't know how to say his name. Yeah, thank you, Michael. Don't forget to watch Tim's TV show, too, on Discovery Plus. Tell them a little bit about it, Tim.
Well, it's called Paranormal Night Shift. It's right there on Discovery Plus. Just go right down to the right on the whole paranormal header there on Discovery Plus, and you'll find it. I start with episode 3, so I think it's 3, 4. Forgive me, I don't know all the episodes I'm on, but watch the entire 13-episode run of Paranormal Night Shift. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah, you're on more than half of them, right?
Yeah. And our good friend Richard Estep is on it as well. So
excellent.
Yeah.
A mysterious ghostly image has been caught on a camera at El Paso, Texas Children's Hospital. Does a ghost child roam the halls of the El Paso, Texas Children's Hospital? Well, a video may leave you with questions. I can't say for sure, but it's a very interesting video posted by a local paranormal group that appears to show some kind of freaky apparition revealing itself in a corridor of the medical facility. Makes a good case for it. Bonnie Juarez, president of the Paso del Norte Paranormal Society, says the footage is from one of the pediatric hospital's security cameras. She said she came into possession of a recording a couple of years ago and only recently made it public after sharing someone else's post of photos supposedly showing ghosts that were taken at the hospital. Per the caption that accompanies the video, Juarez posted on the PDNPS Facebook, sheriff's officers were called to the children's hospital to check on lights coming on by themselves. No one was around, so they asked to view video. from the hall cameras. What they saw was a mysterious figure that Bonnie believes to be the ghost of a child who presumably lost his or her battle with whatever medical condition they sought treatment for. The 21-second clip shows some kind of transparent being appearing to skip towards the door before leaping through them. Nearly 10 seconds later, it vaults back through the same doors before hurrying off in the identical direction it came from. Now I'm watching it, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Boom. I see it. And then let's see. Let's see if it vaults back through the door. Problem is the video footage is so grainy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's definitely something there. Boy, Dave, if only we could find a place to look at that video. Tim, is there a place they could see that video and that news story?
I believe on our website, Dave, at darknessradio.com, and you just click on the news tab, right?
Oh, so you've been paying attention.
Yeah.
Not all of our listeners do. Every week I get at least a couple emails going, hey, where can I find that news story that you read that had a video attached? So there it is, darknessradio.com. Click on the news tab, and each week we put up any news story we feel you might need to see, whether it's got a photograph, video, audio, or perhaps a link on how to beat an earworm. Phenomena! Do-do-do-do-do. Surveillance video isn't exactly known for its superior quality, but the caliber of this particular footage is fuzzy and blurry at best, and while the light blob is indistinguishable, I must admit its actions and movement is rather peculiar and unusual. Is it another worldly form skipping and bouncing down the hall and through the doors as a child ghost might, or could it be some kind of camera or video glitch? If it's a glitch, it's a good one, Bonnie told me. It moves like a person, a small one, and once the light clicks on, it runs back in the opposite direction. I'm not aware of any resident ghosts or ghostly goings-on at the El Paso Children's Hospital, but that doesn't mean it isn't there. I mean, hospitals aren't the least likeliest place to be haunted. That's true. They can be very, very haunted.
Mm-hmm.
Gwen Stefani had a ghost story in an encounter, Tim.
Really?
Yeah, during an interview with host Dua Lipa on Jimmy Kimmel Live, Gwen Stefani revealed that while she hasn't seen a ghost herself, one of her sons apparently encountered a ghoul during a stay at the Langham Hotel in London. We didn't know that they say it's haunted there, Stefani explained. Then you look up and there are stories about it. He saw this guy in a curtain. He was only 2 when he told me. Hopefully it was a one-time encounter and the ghost doesn't holla back.
No.
Yeah. Machine Gun Kelly, 2 weeks after Machine Gun Kelly's father passed away in early July of 2020, the rapper claimed that he received a missed call from him, and he posted a screenshot on his Instagram to prove it. I've been looking for a sign, haven't slept right since, he wrote. My girl said spirits communicate through electromagnetic waves because moving physical objects is harder. He added, seemingly referring to his girlfriend, Megan Fox, name dropper.
Mm-hmm.
Kesha's never been one to shy away from sharing a wacky story, whether she's breaking into Prince's house to give him her demo CD or having sex with a ghost. She told Ryan Seacrest on the show in 2012 that the track Supernatural off her Warrior album was written after some sexy time with a ghost, Tim. The track's lyrics, "Baby, when we're touching in the dark, can you feel it?" allude to the steamy spiritual situation, which she spoke more in detail about on Conan in 2012, claiming she went to the bone zone. It's unclear whether or not the encounter went well, as she told Jimmy Kimmel in 2013 that her vagina was somehow haunted. You want to get in there and sage it up for her, Tim?
No, she drank her own pee, Dave. I don't want to.
Lucy Liu, back in 1999, the Charlie's Angel star revealed to Us Weekly that she once had a sexually charged run-in with the paranormal as well. Sheer bliss, I felt everything. I climaxed, and then he floated away. Liu detailed the alleged event that took place during a nap on her futon. It was almost like what might happen to Mary. That's how it felt. Something came down and touched me, and now it watches over me.
What might happen to Mary? That's the sequel to something about Mary, wasn't it?
Dan Aykroyd, Saturday Night Live alum Dan Aykroyd, hasn't only encountered ghosts as a star of Ghostbusters, he's also come into contact with spooky specters in much more interesting settings. Not once, but twice, Tim, because he's an overachiever. Mm-hmm. Aykroyd wrote for the Huffington Post back in 2010 that he first felt the sexual ghostly presence at his bed while he lived with... oh, my God. See, they didn't even get this article right. I want you to hear this. Okay. Aykroyd wrote the Huffington Post back in 2010 that he first felt a sexual ghostly presence in bed while he lived with singer and actress Mama Cass. He never lived with Mama Cass. He lived in her old home.
Yeah.
He then told Esquire in 2013 that a male ghost cuddled up to him in bed, and he was down for it. He recalled thinking, I'm just going to roll over and snuggle with it. Why waste a perfectly good cuddle moment? I love Dan Aykroyd. Well, if you can't love the one you want, love the ghost you're with. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Melissa McCarthy hilariously hunted ghosts in the 2016 Ghostbusters remake. Hilariously? But her real-life paranormal experiences have been a bit more heartwarming. While promoting the film on the Ellen DeGeneres show in 2015, she divulged that 3 weeks after her great-grandmother died, she saw her just fully standing there in the same house dress and apron that she had always had on. She shared another ghost encounter that she endured with her family since moving into the new house in Colorado. The kitchen door all of a sudden just slammed open, and it slammed twice, and then went back to being closed. Like 2 weeks later, I moved back to New York, she said. Demi Lovato, not Demi, Demi, Tim.
Demi, huh?
That's how they say it. Long before she enrolled in Camp Rock, Demi Lovato grew up in Texas in a home she believed was so ridiculously haunted. She told BuzzFeed back in 2013, not by a bad spirit, but a little girl. I think her name is Emily. She said, I've had a medium come over and ghost hunters, and they both told me the same name, Emily. Lovato recalled Emily mysteriously operating technology and moving objects in her childhood home, but rather than let it scare her, the I Love Me singer felt the experiences provided her with a strong connection to those who have passed. When you're sensitive to energy, you can tell if something is off or happening, she explained. Everyone can be open to it if they just open their minds.
What if it's Amelie, not Emily?
Oh, Amelie. I like that.
Yeah.
That's very fancy.
Yeah, it is.
Aria Grande has always had an interest in ghosts, but she learned to leave them alone after an eerie experience she told Complex about back in 2013. While in Kansas City with some friends, the Seven Rings singer visited a haunted castle and encountered what she believes was a demon, Tim. I felt this sick, overwhelming feeling of negativity over the whole car, and we smelled sulfur, which is a sign of a demon. And then there was a fly in the car randomly, which is another sign of a demon, she detailed. One fly? I don't think so. Grande took a photo at the scene of the three faces she described as textbook demons, but deleted it after feeling like the spirits were following her and her friends. Pause. Oh, go ahead. Did you have something?
I was just going to say, smell of sulfur in the car and one fly. It may just be that you've been in the car too long and you might have messed yourself. Yeah.
Paz de la Huerta from Boardwalk Empire and Lana Del Rey's video games music video swears that she hooked up with Elvis Presley's ghost at Graceland in the recording studio.
Wow.
Wow. I stood in the corner and I felt him. What can I say? I felt him touch me. De la Huerta told the New York Times in 2011. I felt his spirit go through me and give me pleasure.
Wow.
Sometimes you truly can't help falling in love. If the dealer dearly departed.
Yep.
Charlie XCX was creating the music that would eventually become 2014's Sucker album. She encountered a ghost in her unusual studio space and abandoned an allegedly haunted hotel in Stockholm, Sweden.
Was the Swedish chef?
A woman drowned herself at the lakefront at the hotel, and she still lives there, XCX told the Daily Star. We got a recording of her voice, which is on my phone. I want to put it on every song on the album. There's been no update to the story, so whether or not the ghost provided backing vocals on Break the Rules is to be determined, I guess.
Nah.
Nikki Blonsky, for years, the Twitter bio of Nikki Blonsky, yes, from the movie Hairspray, read as follows: actress, singer, dancer, public speaker, paranormal investigator. While it's unclear how much experience she has in the latter industry, she may have encountered some paranormal activity in her own home, according to a 2018 tweet. I think I have a Spanish ghost in my house because every time I leave the room, the TV channel changes itself to Telenova. Blonsky, who appeared in a 2019 film titled Ghost in the Graveyard, wrote, well, hey, we all have our guilty pleasures. I guess it's ghost news, too. As long as the ghost is cool, they can watch their telenovas when I'm not home. Taylor Swift, not one to be left out in the cold, filmed most of her writing process of 2017's Reputation album on camera, and while writing Gorgeous, she caught something spooky in action, Tim. Midway through the video, as she can be seen writing the song's first verse, it appears as though an automatic screen lowers in front of her window. Swift, caught off guard, freezes as dogs begin to bark. She then looks into the camera with wide eyes and says, "Ghosts." Maybe if the Cardigan singer wasn't so secretive about her new music, ghosts wouldn't be trying to spy on her, Tim. Clever author. Kristen Stewart, vampires and werewolves aren't the only supernatural figures Kristen is familiar with. Back in 2019 interview with Vanity Fair, Stewart revealed that she talks to ghosts. If I'm weird, I'm weird. Small town, making a movie, and I'm in a strange apartment, I will literally be like, no, please, I cannot deal. Anyone else, but it cannot be me, she said, noting that she's still unsure of the specific of ghosts. We know who or what ghosts are, but there is an energy that I'm really sensitive to, not just with ghosts, but with people. Coco Austin, Tim, you might be familiar with her.
Yeah, big Coco Austin fan right here.
Yeah. She's the wife of Ice-T.
Yep.
During a 2012 appearance on the talk show Naughty But Nice, Ice-T's wife, Coco, alleged that she received unwanted advances from a perverted ghost one night while watching TV. I was wearing a nightie and I felt my dress move up my leg. I looked down and I got freaked out, said the actress, dancer, model, and TV personality. I pushed my dress down, watched TV, felt it again, and I could see it being pulled up. Then I felt a guy breathing in my ear, she continued. Austin added that her marriage to Ice-T has seemingly warded off all ghosts. I don't blame him. What ghost, wants to mess with Ice-T?
Well, it's because he's got a big super soaker full of holy water. He'll just get rid of him, boom, like that. He's got no fear.
Yeah, go ahead.
He's got no fear.
I guess not.
Yeah.
Model and television personality Kendall Jenner dished in a 2018 Scary Stories video from Vogue that she believes in ghosts, and even though she's never seen one, she has experienced some pretty ghosty situations. She claimed that her mother, Kris Jenner, had been haunted by a ghost in her own home. Kylie and I would always hear footsteps on the roof while no one was home, Jenner explained. Kylie's shower used to turn on all the time, and we never knew why. I'm convinced it was a ghost. Maybe they're just trying to tell you need a shower. Miley and Noah Cyrus had their own ghostly experience while staying in a rental apartment in London. The mother's daughter singer told Elle UK in 2013 she was with her younger sister, Noah Cyrus, who was showering when Miley heard her scream. I run into the bathroom and the water had somehow flipped to hot, but it wasn't like the water had just changed. The knob had turned, but she hadn't turned it, and it was burning her. She was really red, Cyrus detailed, noting that she had an inkling there may have been a paranormal presence around. I thought I'd seen a little boy sitting on the sink watching me take a shower, so I felt really freaked out. She added that the other family members who stayed with her also had spooky experiences in the apartment, so she ended up leaving shortly after. Lucy Hale may have been a pretty little liar, but she claims she's telling the truth when she says there's a ghost in her house. The actress dished to Hollywood Tenzine in 2010 that her paranormal roommate has turned her coffee maker on in the middle of the night and randomly closed doors. It's a pretty weird ghost.
It's a pretty
Turn
nice
off the
one.
coffee maker. Yeah. I have a motion sensor that lights up in my apartment, and I swear it lights up sometimes when there's nothing under it. And my dog barks a lot. I don't feel threatened, but it definitely freaks me out. Does the ghost pay rent, we wonder? Emma Stone, multi-million-dollar checks from the films like La La Land aren't the only payments Emma Stone receives. The actress told David Letterman in 2014 she often gets very specific payments from her late grandfather despite never getting the chance to meet him. There's a long family history with quarters. My grandfather leaves quarters. It's him. It's absolutely him, she dished. It's not a logical thing. It's magical. For a quarter? I mean, if it was $1, I'd believe it's magical. Supermodel Gigi Hadid detailed in the 2018 Vogue video that she's had a lot of unexplainable experiences with the supernatural, specifically recalling a story when she and her sister Bella were young. We lived in this really old house, and I was given the attic as my room. We used to hear a weird sound in the closet, and then we asked my dad, and he said this old lady used to live in the house. She dished, adding that her family chose to befriend the ghost. We would talk to her. We'd be like, girl, we'll bring you some tea. Tea time with the Hadids and a ghost. Sounds like a good deal. Sign me up.
Sounds like a great TV show. Huh? Tea time with the Hadids and a ghost.
Selena Gomez told Jimmy Fallon about her forays into amateur ghost busting during an appearance on The Tonight Show back in 2015. I believe in ghosts, so I have a ghost app. They'll lose you to love me, singer said. I believe the spirits can tap into technology. Why not, right? Gomez stated further that one time in a concert venue, the app actually said people in her life by name. Fallon poked fun at her in response. You know, you're actually upsetting the spirits, she cautioned him. They're mad at you now.
That's creepy.
Yeah. The Matrix icon Keanu Reeves told Jimmy Kimmel in 2014 that when he was like 6 or 7, he believes he saw a ghost in his family's then New York City apartment, begging him not to do the third Bill and Ted's movie, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Oh, so horrible. That's my review. Bill and Ted, Face of Music. It sucked. Don't bother. And maybe it's just too many John Wick movies, but without his facial hair and with his bad long wig, Keanu might be one of the greatest guys in the world, which is what I hear, but the movie sucked. Alex Winter was okay.
Yeah.
But the movie overall sucked. He just didn't, it looked really weird. It looked like some guy wearing a Keanu Reeves mask through most of the movie. It just didn't look natural. So he says, I'm hanging out. There's a doorway, and all of a sudden a jacket comes waving through the doorway, this empty jacket. There's no body, no legs. It's just there. Then it disappears, he recalled. Reeves didn't know what to think at the time until he looked over at his nanny, whose mouth was agape in shock. He then said to himself, oh, wow, so that was real. Yeah, so there you have it. A lot of crazy stories. I should mention, Tim, that we have an interesting guest who's going to be joining us in the next couple of weeks. Stormy Daniels has entered the foray as a paranormal investigator and is going to talk with us about her interest in the supernatural, the paranormal, and Spooky Babes and the other projects she has going on. How about that?
Sounds good.
Speaking of Spooky Babes, how about Tiffany? Think we're alone now. La da 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 da.
The former queen of the malls.
Prior to her career as a teen pop star in the 80s, Tiffany claimed she encountered some ghosts after deciding to read the Satanic Bible with her girlfriends.
Oh, no.
Reading the book, and we were wanting to talk to these spirits she dished on Celebrity Ghost Stories in 2012. I definitely felt the darkness, a heaviness, a presence. It felt almost like these hands were going to come out and grab you at any moment. No place felt safe in that room. How about Cher? When Sonny and Cher said, I got you, babe, they meant it forever. Cher has claimed on multiple occasions that Sonny has visited her from the afterlife, but she assured a fan during a Reddit AMA that it doesn't scare her. I love ghosts. I actually think that Sonny makes a light go on. The outspoken icon added, I prefer ghosts to some people. Hey, ghosts deserve love too, Tim.
Well,
Aaron Carter. Yeah, Aaron Carter. Teen idol Aaron Carter didn't believe in ghosts growing up, but as his grandmother was about to pass away, she set out to convince him they were real by asking a favor. Okay. She said, when I die, I want you to light a candle. And when the candle burns out, I'm going to show myself to you to prove there's life after death. Carter wanted to respect her wishes, so he did what he was told. He alleges that as he blew the candle out, he saw her ghost, and she said, I told you. There you go. Bunch of good stories to share this time, huh? Let's do this. We have news to share. We're going to cover a lot of news when we come back. And we also have a brand new Theater of the Mind. Stay tuned. You're listening to the best in paranormal talk radio. This is Darkness Radio. Welcome back to the program. Thank you very much for being a part of our world and for writing in, sharing your stories. Theater of the Mind, that's what we like to call it. And every week we share one of your stories. If you have a story you'd like to share on Theater of the Mind, please send it to us in nice paragraph forms with some breaks and spaces. Try to keep it to 2.5, no more than 3 pages long, and write it as a narrative. Not creating or faking a story, but just writing it in a more narrative, creative style. Then read it out loud to yourself once or twice and edit out anything that you don't really need, and then send it to me. Is that asking so much, Tim?
No, not at all.
I got a recent from a listener who sent me, he's like, oh, it's only 3 pages. But it's 3 pages with no spaces, no breaks, nothing. So it's legitimately like 7 pages long if I put in paragraph breaks.
Oh, my God.
He said I'm welcome to edit it, but it'll take me a week to edit it, I think. So just send me your stories. We'll feature them. Let's do that right now. We'll take a look at a brand new Theater of the Mind. Today's Theater of the Mind. Feel the Pain. A True Life Encounter by Jamie Rishog. I was in my first year of university, my first foray into adulthood. New responsibilities, new experiences, new acquaintances. It was an exciting time of my life. While I studiously attended my classes, I also studiously attended house parties. Work-life balance, am I right? Anyways, one of my good friends wanted to go to a classmate's house party one Friday night. I, of course, agreed to go with her, eager to meet new people. It was a crisp autumn evening with the subtle kiss of winter hiding within the wind. As I walked outside to my car, the gentle wind riffled through my hair, instantly undoing the carefully pinned updo that I had spent several minutes perfecting in the mirror. With a sigh, I began to take out the bobby pins and shake out my hair. Starting the engine, my hand-me-down car roared to life, and I began the well-traveled route to my friend's house. Pulling up at her gravel driveway, my friend burst from her house, yelling a farewell to her parents, and quickly scampered into my car. She was abuzz with excitement as her crush was going to be at the party. Now, this was right around the time that GPSs were becoming popular, and being that we were two broke university students, we did not have the luxury of such technology. Instead, we relied on a couple of quickly scrawled directions that my friend's classmate had given us. Blasting some mid-90s hip-hop, we began our journey to the party. Lost a little bit in the music, the excitement, and the fact that my friend wasn't the best navigator, her yells of,
"Turn here!"
and
"We missed the left turn by McDonald's,"
were not helpful. We arrived a bit later to the neighborhood than anticipated. Fashionably late, I thought, and slowly pressed on trying to locate the correct address. Looking around, I realized that we were in quite the affluent part of town. Massive brick homes loomed above the perfectly landscaped yards.
Fancy,
I thought, and asked,
"Is this someone's parents' house we were going to?"
My friend, too, was gazing around impressed with the homes and said,
"I don't think so. I heard that he owned the house."
Finally arriving at the house, we parked along the road, beside a large streetlight. I've always been in the habit of parking as close as possible to streetlights. This habit probably picked up by watching too many scary movies as a kid. Because, of course, lights equal safety. Anyway, we began walking down the curving cobblestone driveway toward the house. And it was quite the house. Stark white, rectangular lines with lots of windows that afforded a view to the lake below. My friend looked at me, whistled, and said,
"Wow, this is the nicest house on the block."
Excited, we quickly dashed the rest of the way down the driveway, coming to a large, ornate door. Knocking loudly on the wooden door, we waited to be let in. Realizing the music inside was far too loud to hear a knock at the door, we tentatively tried the doorknob. It turned, so we opened the door. There were about 50 or so college students mingling, laughing, dancing to Snoop Dogg.
Quite the party,
I thought, and crossed the threshold of the doorway and entered the house. The second I stepped inside, waves of nausea hit me. My head started aching, my heart started beating like a jackhammer. Dizzily, I thought,
"This can't be nerves."
But my friend grabbed my hand and pulled me towards the kitchen to get a drink. Higher-end booze and crystal glassware were up for grabs in the kitchen. No Solo cups and Colt 45 here. She handed me a drink and I tentatively took a small sip. I immediately gagged and told my friend that I was not feeling well. Still hell-bent on seeing her crush, she begged me to stay for just a bit. I agreed, and again she grabbed my hand, making our way towards her crush, who happened to be talking to the owner of the house. My friend introduced me, and without any nod to social decorum, I immediately blurted out to the owner of the house,
"How can you afford this place?"
My friend stared at me, red-faced. Whether it was embarrassment or anger, I couldn't be sure. But the owner laughed and replied, "It's a bit of a gruesome story. Remember that murder-suicide a couple of years ago? It took place in this house. No one wanted to live here after that, so I was able to buy the house furnished at a super cheap price. They even included the glasses that you're drinking from." Well, that was enough for me. I quickly turned on my heels and started for the door. As I was fleeing the house, the news articles covering the tragedy started flooding back into my consciousness. The father of the family had drugged his 2 young sons and his wife. Then, while they were sleeping, he shot them all in the head and then turned the gun on himself. It was obviously a heartbreaking loss for the community, but throughout all the media coverage, no image of the house was ever shown. As soon as I got back in the fresh air and out of that tragedy-filled home, I began to feel better. No lingering headache or nausea. I was 100% back to normal. This quick shift spooked me. Was I feeling what the family had felt before they died? Did I feel some weird residual energy? No time to dwell on that. It was time to get the hell out of there. I ran up the driveway, got in my car, and I floored the gas. Unfortunately, in my haste, I ran my side mirror into the streetlight, knocking the mirror off my car. I slammed on the brakes, retrieved my mirror, and got back in the car and then peeled out of there, leaving some burnt rubber behind as the only indication that I was once there. All right, we are back, and we've got more stories to share, Tim. Remember, if you want to share your Theater of the Mind stories or your own paranormal encounters, you can email me, dave@darknessradio.com. And if you want it to be a Theater of the Mind, just mark it as such. And if we deem it the right fit, we will make it a Theater of the Mind episode, just like the one you heard. So do that. Send it to me, dave@darknessradio.com. And otherwise, we might just read it straight up on one of the upcoming episodes. Ghostly cries of help were heard on video from inside a haunted Liverpool city center pub, Tim. Yeah, a team of ghost hunters captured cries of help, jealous and fed up, while filming inside of a haunted Liverpool pub. The ghost hunting team says they encountered unknown voices in a cold atmosphere while exploring Cooper's Pub located in city center. Civil servant Chris Cummings and teacher Adam Billing are paranormal investigators who document and post their finds to the Haunted Scouse YouTube channel. They use their channel to explore the history of pubs, cemeteries, and other parts of Merseyside. In the latest episode, the ghost hunting team went along to Cooper's, the famous Liverpool pub, to investigate potential paranormal activity. And Chris, 44, and Adam, 35, used a device called an S-box, which measures radio frequencies. It doesn't actually measure radio frequencies. Poorly written and understood on how this works. It scans radio frequencies. In the video, Chris can be seen trying to make contact with spirits via the S-box, which shouts out ghostly screams of jealous, fed up, cards, and help. Speaking to the Echo, Chris said, "We started off with what's called an S-box, which is like a radio, which scans the frequencies and allows spirits to come through and speak. It builds up a bit of an atmosphere, whichever building we're in. We don't force anything. We play it out, and then we ask questions and listen. We don't claim we have made contact with spirits, but you do start to ask the question, we don't claim we have made contact with spirits, but you do start to ask the question, what is that we just did experience?" It's weirdly written. In one part of the video, Chris holds up different cards from a deck, which he used as a technique to get responses. He added, if you go to the end of the video, there's a bit where we involve the playing cards and we put the S-box out again. And this time we sat in the back of Cooper's, just me and Adam. And as we're talking, I came up with the idea of trying to get any relevant responses if I hold up playing cards. I held up 3 cards, an ace of clubs, the 8 of clubs, and the 6 of clubs. And we get clear responses coming through. The first one tells me when I ask what card it is that I've got ace of clubs. Clear as anything. It comes on through. The YouTubers were invited along by landlord Maria Hodges, who gave a history and told the stories of her experiences in the hour-long video. I've got that link up for that video, so you can go see it. I was going to play it, but the audio is so... and it's hard to hear unless you're listening and have your headphones in. So it's pretty clear, and they do get some direct voice responses, but it's on the Darkness Radio page under the news category. Tim, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's a little feature that we have on our website for free.
Oh, I just heard about it just now.
Well, I'm glad I could share it with you.
I appreciate it.
Supernatural and Walker, Texas Ranger reboot star Jared Padalecki has one superstitious habit that even he doesn't understand. Supernatural fans often wonder if Jared Padalecki and Jensen Ackles experience paranormal occurrences in their real life. With all the ghosts, wraiths, demons, celestials, and magical beings Sam and Dean encountered on the show, it wouldn't be too bizarre if they had spooky things happen. They've given a variety of answers on that topic over the years, but Padalecki once admitted to harboring a superstition or two. Years ago, Supernatural published an exclusive magazine just for the show, and its cast members were regularly interviewed for features. In the 4th issue, back in 2008, Jared Padalecki discussed his feelings about the paranormal and whether he believed in any of it. He admitted that he was 50-50 split when it came to the subject. I don't necessarily believe in it because I'm very much a creature of what I see, and I've never seen and I've never had any experiences with the supernatural, said Padalecki. But I also realize that it's a big world and big universe, and it's hard to believe we're the only things out there, you know? Things have definitely happened that made me go, what was that? At the time, Padalecki shared that he'd never had a personal encounter, but he'd heard stories from others. He considered himself open to the possibility of some things being real. So during the same interview all those years ago, Padalecki touched on how he sometimes found himself blaming flickering lights on the yellow-eyed demon from the show. While that may have been rare, his kiss the sky bit turned into a habit. When I get on planes or go under a yellow light, I kiss my finger and touch the ceiling, he explained. I don't know what this is. I think I saw someone do it one time, and now I just have to do it, like getting on a plane. If I have a luggage, I'll put it down and kiss the door when I walk in. I've gotten some weird looks, Padalecki shares. There are a few car-related superstitions that explain Padalecki's yellow light ritual. Some drivers believe tapping the visor with or without kissing one's finger is meant to be a thank you. For what? For coasting through the light without any trouble, of course. As far as the airplane practices, some passengers engage in a little dance, tap the plane, or kiss the door routine as they board to invite safe passage and good luck. But what about Jensen Ackles' superstitions, Tim? I know that was what was nagging at the back of your brain.
Yeah, yep.
Ackles was less convinced by real-life creepy experiences, but copped to one superstition he abided by. I'm not going to walk under a ladder, but I don't keep the same socks on for 2 months, he told Supernatural magazine. Ackles also shared that he wasn't necessarily on board with ghosts, goblins, and demons and considered himself a realist. However, he joked that if they ever come around, I know what to do now. Sammy, get the rock salt. That would be his answer, Tim, because they shot everything with rock salt.
Yeah, which made the rock salt business go into a boom for many, many seasons and years. And Morton, by gosh, they made many, many millions of dollars. Thank God.
This article continues for what seems like eternity. Mm-hmm. And the rest of it is just about bad habits that both of them have. So I don't need to go into it.
No, probably
don't need to. We covered the most important aspects, the supernatural, paranormal element, if you will. I mean, even if you won't.
I probably should.
Derbyshire's Codner Castle has been damaged by ghost hunters and bikers. A deadly combination, Tim.
Yeah.
Ghost hunters and off-road bikers are among those damaging a centuries-old castle, volunteers said. Codnor Castle, Codner, it's a weird way to say it, near Ripley in Derbyshire, is partly on private land but close to a number of footpaths. The trust, which looks after the ruins, a nearby farmhouse, said lockdown has seen stones knocked from walls and arson attacks. They said visitors were welcome if they were treating the site with respect, but money seemed just not to care. The castle dates from the 13th century and is a Grade 2 listed, but it's also on the English Heritage at Risk Register. Nearby farm buildings, parts of which date back to the 16th century, are empty, but planning permission has been granted to convert them into homes and a visitor center. These have been boarded up, but doors and windows have been forced open. Rokia Brown, chairwoman of the Castle Codner Heritage Trust, said it started up at the beginning of the first lockdown when the parks were closed and we had increased footfall in the Urswell Valley. We got more again when the schools closed, but we've also had so-called urban explorers and paranormal investigators visit. It's a mix of people not understanding where they can't go and those who just want to cause trouble. Other problems included spray paint on walls, which took 4 months to remove. Off-road bikers tearing up laid grass and fences being kicked down. It's a shame. Hey, folks, this is just a heartfelt message from your buddies at Darkness Radio. Stop being dicks. Thank you. Yeah. I'm Dave. That's Tim. And that was our heartfelt message.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I need to expound upon that, do you? I think that covered most of it.
No, short, sweet, to the point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Watch the moment a ghost appears at a seance in Burton. That's right, Tim. I've got another video for people to check out at darknessradio.com under the news tab. A paranormal investigator is convinced he was visited by a ghost after capturing a strange moment on video, which shows the flame from a candle mysteriously glowing bright and then rising. into the air. Ian Thompson was conducting a seance at his home in Burton, hoping to contact the dead, and can be heard reacting excitedly when the flame of the candle suddenly becomes enlarged and rises at least 3 inches into the air. He says the incident was proof a ghost was trying to make contact, as there's no way the candle could have done that all on its own. Mr. Thompson, 34, captured the moment on video, which happened as he was halfway through talking about some of his paranormal equipment. He uses as the candle in the corner of the room suddenly lights up the room, to which Mr. Thompson is left shocked, saying, "That candle has just gotten really bright all on its own." He told Staffordshire Live, "It's a fantastic piece of evidence to capture on camera." He says at the time he was trying to invite an outside spirit into the house to make contact, although he says the actual building itself is not haunted. He said, "We're carrying out a Facebook Live seance from my home. I was opening up the spiritual doorway by holding the seance. We've done this before and we've had intelligent responses. They didn't give away their names. And I invite the spirits through the flame from the candle. I try to get them to reveal themselves." As Dave bandies between Australian and bad English Cockney accent. "The candle invites the spirit through the light and into the darkness, Tim." In the video, the candle was next to the mirror, and then the candle exploded and the spirit box used to record sound began growling. "I was having a talk with my friends. We were halfway through the video when it happened. My house is not haunted. It's just a terrace in Burton. There's no sign of residual haunting. It's quite encouraging that I have the power to invite spirits and ask them to leave." It's not the first time Mr. Thompson had a close spiritual encounter, he says. He's previously taken part in ghost walks in Burton and found that the Washlands in Sound Center was the area with the most spiritual activity. He said, "I had a paranormal group a few years ago, and it left for quite a while and then started spectacular or spectacle, paranormal, spectacle." It's too many words, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
They had 200 people join that Facebook group in just 2 weeks. Because of lockdown, he made a few more live videos at home, but prior to lockdown, they were holding live investigations from different locations. Last Halloween, we had a ghost walk in the Washlands. The activity was fantastic. We had a spirit box with us, which generates white noise from radio waves. That was a better explanation of it, I'll give him that. There were dark forces telling us to leave. We think it was St. Maudwin herself. She did not want people who are not religious encroaching on her turf. Well, nobody wants a turf war with a saint, Tim.
No, not at all.
Yep. So that's up. We have video of that too, Tim. People, I'm giving you videos, man. I'm giving you stories to look at and see for yourself. I'm pretty excited, and I got to tell you, I'm a little bummed out about this next story.
Why is that?
Well, mainly because my friend Cindy Kaza got to do something I wanted to do so badly. Few murderers in American history are as notorious as Ed Gein, not only due to the viciousness of his crimes, but also due to his predilection towards digging up corpses and building trophies out of the bones of the bodies. With the new shock doc special, Ed Gein, the Real Psycho, investigating supernatural occurrences in his hometown of Plainfield, Wisconsin, adding another air of mystery to Gein's crimes is that he was said to have inspired the events of fictional narratives like Psycho, Silence of the Lambs, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, all of which have blurred the lines between fact and fiction. Ed Gein, the Real Psycho, starts streaming on Discovery on April 9th. 60 years after Gein's arrest, documentary film producer and paranormal investigator Steve Shippey and world-renowned psychic medium Cindy Kaza traveled to Gein's home in Plainfield to conduct investigations of the most haunted locations connected to the infamous killer. For the first time in history, cameras are allowed on the Gein property where the gruesome evidence was first discovered. Shippey and Kaza also met up with local residents who provide insight on Gein and discover never-before-seen artifacts believed to be used by the malevolent monster on his helpless victims. With each investigation, the team reveals more evidence to determine what was behind his drive to kill. The paranormal meets the monstrous when Cindy Kaza, using her psychic abilities, holds and reads the history of a found object, the knife believed to be used on Gein's victims. In each location, the team makes contact with the world of the dead and captures terrifying evidence of the supernatural as they seek to answer the ultimate question: is Plainfield haunted by Ed Gein, his mother, and the victims? And does evil live on forever? Tapping into the energy of Ed Gein, he was as alive and dead will haunt me for the rest of my life, said Cindy Keza. You'd think that having 20 years of experience investigating the paranormal would have prepared me for taking on this case, added Shippey. No matter how much I have read about the man and his atrocities, I never expected to uncover what we did during our investigation. Ed Gein, The Real Psycho, starts streaming on Discovery Plus on April 9th. I got to film a special as well at another famous murder site, Tim. Okay. And I don't think I'm allowed to tell what that is yet, but as soon as I can, I will let you know. But man, Ed Gein, I would have loved to have gone to Ed Gein's property. That to me is a fascinating story.
You ever driven through Plainfield, Wisconsin?
No, I've got a life.
You'd understand. You'd understand why it's creepy and why. Let's just, without being more disparaging, let's just say you'd understand a lot of motives.
All right,
yeah.
If you say so.
Yeah.
Hey, we've got a story that's an audio daily double and triple, Tim. This story has count them two, not one, but two different audio clips that are part of it. As a TikTok undertaker reveals his most terrifying paranormal moments in his career. That's right, an undertaker. An undertaker on TikTok has revealed some of the most bizarre and creepy paranormal activities that have taken place throughout his career. Morty Stein, who goes by the name Funeral Home Confessions on TikTok, has recalled a number of unexplained incidents, including a terrifying experience while working at a so-called haunted funeral home. During this particular incident, Stein and a colleague had been viewing a service in the chapel below when a creepy voice came out of nowhere. Here's one of his stories. Let's give it a listen.
More stories, please. You ask and you shall receive. A few years ago, I used to work at a funeral home that had a reputation for being haunted. There was a loft that overlooked the chapel. And the only way that you can get up to the loft is to open a really creaky door and go up some really rickety stairs. So if anybody opened the door or went up the stairs, you would know somebody was on their way up. We were actually watching our boss conduct a service, and while we were upstairs in the loft watching the service, we heard this voice yell out, "Get out of here." Me and my coworker, we looked at each other, both of our faces turned white, and we beelined down the stairs. I think the last 5 steps I missed completely, and I opened the door and I bolted out.
Now, in another video, Stein responded to a follower asking him whether he believes in ghosts, to which he responded,
"As a mortician, do I believe in ghosts? Absolutely, I sure do, and here is a story that I have no explanation for. I was actually getting a person ready for a viewing, and as I wheeled them in the chapel, the casket was open, and I was doing some final preparations of like getting the suit jacket just nice and tight, and I always place right hand over the left. At the family came in, they did a final viewing, they had the visitation. At the end of the visitation, after everybody left, I was getting ready to close the casket, and the left hand was over the right. So I changed it, put the right hand back over the left, closed the casket lid, locked it, went home. The next day, I came back, I was the first one in the funeral home, unlocked the casket, opened it up, left hand was over the right. Could have been somebody playing a joke on me. I think it was a ghost.
There you go. TikTok. Funeral home guy, Tim. Undertaker. TikTok Undertaker. Yeah. What was going on with the audio on that one? Were you hearing that?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's really weird. He just starts off normal and then slowly starts going like this. So I've got that story up too, Tim. Dave, your buddy here, has put it up over at darknessradio.com under the news tab. Lots of news under there today, Tim.
Yeah.
Let's see. Real ghost caught on camera. Paranormal encounter in Odisha. Villagers have been left with an eerie figure that's giving people nightmares. The article starts off, do you believe in ghosts? Well, scientists say there's no evidence that ghosts actually exist. There are plenty of people out there who believe in these spirits. They are shit scary ghost stories that make everyone believe. That's what they said. There are shit scary ghost stories that make everyone believe that paranormal activities are real. Again, there are spooky encounters captured on camera, which gives nightmares. On a similar note, a video is going viral on social media that apparently captured a ghost-like figure on the dead of night in the remote village in Odisha. The paranormal encounter of the villagers with the unidentified figure in a white sari is giving nightmares. If you haven't watched the video yet, prepare to be spooked, it says in this article. A few days ago, a father shared horrifying footage of his daughter being pulled under the bed by a paranormal being. We talked about that a week or two ago. Again, at the start of the year, a ghostly figure was spotted behind a petrol pump in Rekur, sparking spooky assumptions. While none of the encounters were proved, the latest clip has surely become a sensation in the tribal-dominated district from the Chiliki village under the Jungara block of Kalahandi, Odisha. Whew. That's a lot of words, Tim.
Bless you. Yeah.
So we've got that video up. You can take a look at it and see for yourself. Do you see the creepy white cloaked ghost? I do. I can't. I don't know. It's weird. It's a good one. It's a good one, Tim.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where can people find that video? Did I mention that?
You did, Dave. You've mentioned it a few times. I don't know if people haven't got it by now. I don't know what's going on. Maybe personal problems in their life. Maybe got hit with a rock while driving in their car off an highway overpass. Darknessradio.com. Click on the news tab. All of them stories is listed right there at the top. As it happens week by week, we put the current week on top first, and then the week following underneath that.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah. Right there. You'll find it, all of the news. Here's kind of an interesting story. The Queen Mary is to be the subject of a haunted ship film trilogy, Tim. Say that 5 times fast. Haunted ship film trilogy.
Haunted ship film trilogy, haunted ship film trilogy, haunted ship film trilogy, haunted ship film trilogy, haunted ship film trilogy.
Fuck you.
Thank you.
Right, Mr. Fluent in speaking.
Appreciate that.
Fans of all things paranormal will be happy to know that there's a film in the works involving the very haunted Queen Mary. The Queen Mary was named in 2008 as one of Time magazine's top 10 haunted places. And it has quite a history behind it. The retired British ocean liner sailed away from 1936 to 1967, mostly on the North Atlantic Ocean, and her maiden voyage was May 27, 1936. Now permanently moored in Long Beach, California, and currently in use as a hotel, Queen Mary is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. It has been featured on popular paranormal series such as Ghost Hunters and Most Haunted. And Tim?
Yes.
This Saturday, for the first time in history, it is investigated by the Holzer Files cast. And we are the first paranormal show that got access to the ship completely empty, devoid of employees and visitors alike, because we filmed during the COVID outbreak.
Oh, wow.
And you and I have been there, I think I've been there 15 times total.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had great experiences. It is definitely a crazy haunted hotspot.
Oh, yes.
I got to tell you, it is so fucking creepy. Like, unbelievably creepy, Tim.
I gotta imagine, at 3 o'clock in the morning, even with employees there, it's kind of unsettling and unnerving.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta think that with nobody there, it's gotta be pretty unnerving.
Yeah, it was terrifying. Truthfully, terrifying. It is so dark, and the activity. This is what they told us. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They said that security and employees are more freaked out by it now than they've ever been. And the activity seems to have changed and seems to have a more darker undertone to it. Maybe it's because for the first time since 1967, it's been devoid of all of the life blood of humanity crossing through those gangplanks, Tim.
Okay.
Entering the ship, the energy that these spirits feed off of has been severely depleted. It's down to a skeleton crew. Literally, I think there's like 12 people that work on the ship right now, or at least when we were filming. We filmed there. This episode airs this Saturday on Discovery Plus. It is one of my favorite episodes. We capture something really cool. And this Thursday, I'll say this. This Thursday, we're doing Holzer's Ghosts, which we'll be talking about last week's episode. Okay. And then next Thursday, we're going to be talking about the Queen Mary. And I've got some exclusive EVP and exclusive stories that I will share that did not make the episode for the Queen Mary that I think are absolutely terrifying. So we'll be doing that on not this Thursday, but next Thursday's show when we go back and recap that episode. So it's going to be a hell of a ride. So again, Thursday nights live on my Facebook page, Darkness Radio Facebook page, Dave Schrader Facebook page, and on our Darkness Radio YouTube page. You can watch along with the live video, talk with us, be a part of the show, and we'll answer your questions. And then Friday, that audio is made available as a podcast so that you can hear it as well. Anyway, I get back to the story. If you want to stay the night in a haunted room, the Queen Mary Hotel suggests suite room B340. In the 1960s, a woman staying in the room said she was rudely awakened by her blanket being yanked off her. She saw a man standing at the foot of her bed. Then the man vanished. A little girl holding a doll has been spotted in the boiler room, which makes me think of that creepy little girl in Shudder's Blood Vessel, an 18-year-old crew member who was reportedly killed on board in 1966 after a door crushed him has also been seen. He is usually reported to be running behind guests while whistling. Given the Queen Mary's interesting and perhaps haunted history, it's no surprise that someone would find it a great story to adapt as a film. Haunted ship movies are pretty popular, after all. The Queen Mary is set to be the first of a trilogy of films inspired by reported hauntings on board the liner. Alice Eve, who starred in Star Trek Into Darkness and Men in Black 3, is set to star in the upcoming film, but plot details have not been released. 1428 Elm will keep you informed as further news is released, so keep your eyes on the website. I'm psyched about this episode, Tim. I'm so happy to have been aboard it, but I will tell you this. Being back aboard the Queen Mary inspired me to reignite Darkness Radio events. So, in 2022, if COVID has been lifted and all things are safe, Tim, 2022 is the 10th anniversary of our last big Darkness Radio event. Did you know that? The 10th anniversary.
Yeah, it is.
Can you believe it's 10 years since our last big event?
I can believe that, yeah.
It's nuts. And that was at the Stanley Hotel, our final event. But 2022, I want to go back and visit the Queen Mary, Stanley, Eastern State Penitentiary, Mansfield Reformatory, and some of the other great haunted locations that exist out there. So keep checking darknessradio.com for updates on that. But 2022, we will be back doing Darkness Radio events. How about that, Tim?
Sounds good to me.
I like to give a little bit back, and make sure you do watch. There's only 2 episodes left of the Holzer Files, folks, this Saturday and next Saturday. So please watch them. Watch them multiple times. That's all I'm asking, Tim. Just get it out there. Let people know.
Yes, indeed.
Let my people know. Tim.
Yes.
I've got more stories to share.
Good.
Conspiracy theorists all across the world strongly believe that alien existence on Earth is real. And to substantiate this theory, they often put forward examples of mysterious UFO sightings that happen in various parts of the globe. Now, as UFO mysteries deepen, Baker Mayfield, who plays as a quarterback for the NFL team Cleveland Browns, has shockingly claimed that there could be alien activities in Texas. Mayfield made these claims after witnessing a strange UFO sighting while he was on the way home from dinner with his partner Emily. The American footballer revealed that what he saw was a UFO dropping towards Lake Travis, a reservoir located in Colorado River. Almost 100% Em and I just saw a UFO drop straight out of the sky on our way home from dinner. We stopped and looked at each other and asked if either of us saw it, a very bright ball of light going straight down out of the sky towards Lake Travis. Anybody else witness this? Wrote Mayfield on his Twitter page. As the tweet posted by Mayfield went viral on Twitter, several people also shared their UFO experience, and one user named David claimed to have seen the same sighting. Not me, Tim, just so we're clear.
Right, okay.
No way. I thought I was the only one. I live on Lake Travis, and my parents called me crazy when I ran to tell them. No way you saw it too, wrote David. Several other people claim that the recent UFO sighting strongly indicates that Texas is a hotbed of alien activities. Some of them even argued that the government is well aware of alien existence on planet Earth. However, astronomer Patrick Valley put forward a logical explanation. According to Valley, the bright flying object in the skies could most probably be the latest SpaceX launch. Just hours before Mayfield's tweet, SpaceX had launched its Starship SN10 rocket from Boca Chica testing range, which is only a few hundred kilometers from Lake Travis. But that doesn't explain that it came down. in that area to me. That just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
They didn't see it going up. They saw it coming down. But, Tim, this just in, kind of breaking news.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Are you ready for this?
Ready.
Tom Brady got roasted by his fellow NFL star quarterback Baker Mayfield, whose UFO story recently had the sport buzzing on social media. Mayfield's bizarre UFO sighting claim Thursday grabbed the attention of not only fans, but also the NFL. Backed by his wife, Emily, the Cleveland Browns quarterback tweeted that he almost 100% sure that this very bright ball of light they saw in the sky in Texas was a UFO. Now, famed sports Fox commentator Colin Cowherd, who is a known critic of Mayfield, took a dig at the Browns quarterback, suggesting the NFL star, such as Brady, didn't need to see a UFO to become an all-time great. Let's go ahead and hear the pomposity that is Colin Cowherd and his short discussion about this.
The other big piece of news in the AFC North is last night on Twitter, Baker Mayfield said he saw a UFO. He went out with his beautiful wife. I'm sure they had some margaritas. Austin, Texas is a fun town. And on Twitter, Baker Mayfield announced, I just saw a UFO diving down near Lake Travis. To that, I would say I would prefer, of all the qualities of franchise quarterbacks, I want to know your arm. Are you good pre-snap? Are you mobile? The ability to see UFOs in the offseason is nowhere near my not top 10 qualifications. Joe Montana, Troy Aikman, Terry Bradshaw, Tom Brady have never seen aliens. I would prefer my guys don't talk about it. But in fairness, Aaron Rodgers also admits he's seen a UFO and he did win a Super Bowl. So Baker Mayfield, I'll read it to you. Almost 100%. Em and I just saw a UFO drop straight out of the sky on our way home from dinner. We stopped and looked at each other and asked if either of us saw it. Very bright ball of light going straight down out of the sky towards beautiful Lake Travis. Beautiful place, by the way. Anybody else witnessed this? No, nobody else witnessed this. But you got the Steelers are bringing their quarterback back, and the Browns quarterback's coming back and just saw an alien. It will potentially, in both cases, skew my standings and predictions going forward.
Yeah, well, I'm not a big sports guy when it comes to listening to commentators. This guy just comes off like a smug prick. Is that his normal MO? Is he just like my guys don't need to be seeing UFOs? First of all, it's not your guys, dinkweed. But, is he always so condescending and obnoxious like that?
Well, here's the deal. I watch Colin Cowherd on my iPad every day religiously as I'm working down in the studio 3 hours a day on I shouldn't put the endorsement out there, but I watch him every day. It's on in the background as I'm working down here in the studio. There is a distinct, and he does have as every sports talk guy has, he has a little bit of pomposity when it comes to certain things. Other things he has very good takes on, but he does have a little bit of a beef and a little bit of a feud going on with Baker Mayfield. He has a little thing up his ass about Baker Mayfield. He doesn't like him for one reason or another. And he really doesn't like him because he went after Baker and said he's just an average quarterback who can't get it done. So what does Baker do? Takes the Browns into the playoffs and drives them deep into the playoffs and threatens to take them to the Super Bowl, only to be, turned back by the Kansas City Chiefs. Really, Baker Mayfield made a name for himself this past year. So what does he do? He makes Colin Cowherd look bad. I mean, he made him look bad. So what does Colin do? Well, Colin's got to take a shot at Baker Mayfield wherever he can. So this is a great place to take a shot at Baker Mayfield because what
he sees on his off time out after having dinner with his wife, how does that affect or impact his playing ability?
Because in mainstream media, Dave, this is, and I want to take you back to a time in our past, and I'm going to directly align this with something that happened in our past. Okay, this is a direct correlation to and no offense to any sports guys out there that we do like, because I was reminded this past weekend, I was at a car dealership and I ran into somebody who used to work for iHeartRadio, who is a good friend of our friend, superstar Mike Morris, who loves the paranormal. But there are other meatheads out there, sports guys like Corey Cove,
kind of the sludge of society.
The sludge of society, who thinks, and pardon my language, thinks the paranormal is bullshit and will take shots at anybody who believes in the paranormal as much as they can, because they're not skeptics, but they're cynics. And Colin Cowherd clearly is a cynic. So he couldn't wait to take a shot at Colin Cowherd. Or not Colin Cowherd, at Baker Mayfield.
Right.
So he was just waiting to take a shot at Baker Mayfield. And this was his opportunity, because it was something he didn't believe in. And anytime you get something like this in the media, it's an opportunity to make a quarterback that's on the rise look like a Looney Tunes, because it's a fringe story. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's a fringe story, so let's make Baker and his wife look a little loony because they saw something that could look fringe to the masses.
Yeah, I don't know.
How does Colin Cowherd make Baker and his wife look loony? Well, we've got the second clip.
Oh, well, let's go ahead and play that now.
Okay, so here's the second clip.
Baker Mayfield sees a UFO, and then I said, give me a break. I don't want my quarterback saying that. And Tom Brady shouts me out on Twitter and says, Colin, how do you know I haven't seen an alien? So these quarterbacks are all after me now. I will say this. Okay, I will say this. Every time I hear about this, I've always had a theory, Neil, that some of this stuff is space junk, and I've seen some of that stuff. And if you get away from light pollution in small towns, you see a bunch of stuff. And some of it could be our government that doesn't want to give a heads up to other governments or us working on military projects. That is my theory. Is that nonsense, or is some of that true?
It could be all of the above. I mean, so why would the government want you to know if it's experimenting on top secret aircraft, for example? So they're not going to want you to know. And by the way, in the 1960s, there was Project Blue Book. A subtext of the Project Blue Book, which, by the way, was the investigation of UFOs, was, by the way, keep reporting them if you see them, because it could be a Russian experimental aircraft.
Right.
And we were in the middle of the Cold War. So if you crowdsource the monitoring of the sky, then you can be way more effective than just simple regional military observations of what might be happening up there. So sure. And by the way, if you see a UFO, it just means you didn't know what it was. That's what the U stands for, unidentified. So it's not a problem if your quarterback sees something in the sky and they don't know what it is. What else are they going to call it but a UFO? So give them a break. I read the description, and I think it was at night, no brighter than twilight, and he saw a streak of light come down. It looks like it landed in Town Lake or wherever it was in Austin. And that's what meteors look like they do. Okay? So a bright meteor, a shooting star. There it is. UFO dropped straight out of the sky. Yeah. There it is. We stopped and looked at each other and asked if we each saw it. That's good first check to see, because you have multiple sources of data. Very bright ball of light going straight down out of the sky towards Lake Travis. Okay, so what he should do is go look at what meteors look like. And most of them just look like sort of simple shooting stars, but the occasional one, the occasional bigger one, is called a bolide. We have special words for them. And they flash through the sky. It takes just half a second. It flashes through the sky, and at the end, sometimes they explode. And so they're really beautiful, and they're called bolides. And by the way, amateur astronomers, who, by the way, are really good at looking at the night sky, do not have a higher fraction of what they see identified as UFOs, because they are highly trained in what they look like, because they spend their whole lives looking up at night. So I think if there were aliens visiting, the amateur astronomy community would catch it immediately. And by the way, amateur astronomer means you are an expert at the night sky. Unlike amateur neurosurgeon, you wouldn't go to that person for if you had an ailment. But if you want to know people who know the night sky like the back of their hand, they're called amateur astronomers.
Okay, so that's Neil deGrasse Tyson, who came on with Colin Cowherd to try and of course Colin Cowherd has him on to try and debunk what it was that Baker Mayfield and his wife saw. But in the process, Neil deGrasse Tyson actually kind of not only, he doesn't quite debunk it, but he also kind of lends a little credence to what Baker may or may not have seen. Now, with that, he also says, okay, it might have been a meteor, but what would have been the ultimate scenario would have been to bring Baker on and said, what exactly did you see? Well, you've got Neil on. So that Neil can say, well, okay, it wasn't a meteor that you saw. It might have been this. But you don't give Baker the gravitas of coming on and saying, this is exactly what I saw. Put him in front of the expert and have the expert weigh in on what it was he saw, because that gives him credence to his story. And instead you're burying the guy on your show because, Colin doesn't have that much respect for Baker. So,
my guy, I don't want that from my guys. Oh, shut up.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was good that Neil deGrasse Tyson is on Colin Cowherd. I mean, that's good that he's
bringing science. I dig that.
And I,
but you saw he wasn't dismissive to Baker Mayfield at all. He was very much like, hey, it's unidentified. He saw something that he could not identify.
And I do appreciate, I'll give Colin Cowherd this. I do appreciate the opinion he gave before he brought Neil deGrasse Tyson on. I like his opinion on what he thinks UFOs may actually be, because I mirror his opinion. I agree with his opinion. But the fact of the matter is that he walked it back and he masked what his real agenda was. His real agenda was not discrediting UFOs or I don't know if I believe in this or not. That wasn't what his real agenda was. His real agenda was going after Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is obvious. Hey, speaking of flying ships, I just sent you the story. I don't know if you've seen this picture. It's been sent to me 1,000 times. It's fascinating, but I'm calling BS on the quote-unquote science of this story.
Okay.
Bizarre ghost ship sighted leaving internet baffled. Yahoo News reports people have been left baffled by what appears to be a ship floating in the air as it hangs above the water. British man David Morris snapped a photo of the ship in the waters off the coast of Cornwall in England's southwest, capturing the rare optical illusion. Now, are you looking at this picture?
Yep.
Optical illusion, my ass. It's floating like 100 feet off the ocean. Morris's son told Cornwall Live that the sighting left the pair amazed and baffled. On social media, people were left puzzled and in awe of the optical phenomena, often referred to as ghost ships. It's a UFO, one man joked. Obviously, it's not. Others say it was spectacular and crazy. If I was walking along the beach one day and I saw this, I'd fall over, one woman tweeted. Why does it appear that the ship is flying? This looks like, if you were a Star Wars fan, this looks like the land speeder cruising over the top of the desert by about 100 feet up off the ground.
Yeah, more than just a land speeder.
Right,
I mean,
right.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, it's got that kind of look to it, just like it's zipping along. Why does the ship appear to be flying? While it might appear as though the ship is suspended in air, BBC meteorologist David Brain explained it's actually an optical illusion known as a superior mirage. Superior mirages occur because of the weather condition known as temperature inversion, where cold air lies close to the sea with warmer air above it, Brain said. Since cold air is denser than warm air, it bends light towards the eyes of someone standing on the ground or on the coast, changing how distant objects appear. I'm not buying that. Warm air underneath it and cold air make it look like it's floating 100 feet above sea.
How? Yeah.
Right.
And
that's utter nonsense.
That's a picture. That's not your eye.
Right. Well, and people were seeing it with their eye and they were seeing it with the camera. And there's none of those distortion wavy patterns like when you see heat coming up off the road. And then you reach down between your legs and
ease the seat back.
Yeah.
And the wave pattern on the water almost looks like you've got like jets on the bottom of the ship, right, or air jets that are compressing on the water, causing some sort of levitation or lift underneath the ship.
Agreed. It's crazy. And if you haven't seen it, we've got it. Darknessradio.com. Click on the news tab to find more information and see it for yourself. All right. A near-death experience has left a woman perplexed, Tim, which I understand. She says that a paranormal premonition saved her life. How do you like that? A woman known only as Ramana M. to protect her anonymity.
Sure.
Yeah, sometimes you don't want your anonymity out there in the public, Tim, so you want to protect it. We'll call her Ramana M. to protect her anonymity, has recounted escaping from an accidental death after existing outside her body. Incredibly, she believes only a paranormal premonition immediately prior to the car crash gave her information that saved her life. Ramana accounted for the apparent 2003 incident to the Near Death Experience Foundation. She said, "I was trying to get home, running late for curfew and driving home on country roads late at night. It had been raining, so the roads were slippery, and it was extremely foggy. A car was tailgating me, and it made me nervous, so I sped up and kept speeding up. I still feel like the car was following too closely. On an S-turn, I felt the back end of the car coming up and around. I had just the driver's training course that taught me exactly how to correct this. However, at this point, she believes she clearly left her body and acquired a higher state of consciousness that may have resulted in saving her life. She said, before I could act, I heard a powerful voice and felt like I didn't have a choice in what to do. At the same time, I also had a most powerful, peaceful sense of surrender come over me. The voice told me, take your hands off the wheel. Time slowed down as the back end of the car came around. I felt like I was up and above watching the car. In slow motion, the back end of the car came around and shot across the road. The back end crashed into a hydro pole. And it was at this point Ramana believes everything seemed to be happening at once, or time stopped or lost all meaning. She said time slowed down, stopped to the point I left time and space. The next moment, the woman is fully aware she had mysteriously survived the potentially fatal accident. She said, I awoke to find that the car was entirely crunched up around that pole. The pole had torn through the entire car and was now beside me. The entire car was totaled with the exception of my little square driver's seat. I was completely unscratched. The rest is hazy. How I got out, how the ambulance and fire truck came, I remember smelling gas everywhere. A woman approached me, but there was never a sign of a car behind me or even if it existed. However, despite such compelling firsthand evidence, the overwhelming majority of scientists believe near-death experiences are in fact associated with increased brain activity in extraordinary circumstances. One prominent study saw University of Michigan researchers induce cardiac arrest in rats while simultaneously monitoring their brain activity. They found a significant surge in brain activity in the final few seconds of the rodents' lives. Professor Jimo Borgajin said that the study performed in animals is the first dealing with what happens to the neurophysiological state of the dying brain. We reasoned if near-death experience stems from the brain activity, neural correlations of consciousness should be identifiable in humans or animals even after the cessation of cerebral blood flow. Prediction that we would find some signs of conscious activity in the brain during cardiac arrest was confirmed with this data. I still don't buy that that's enough of it. Too many people have had major deals. And how does that explain being out of your body and up above the body and the car, seeing it unfold?
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Interesting stuff. All right, let's see what else we got. I told you we have a lot of stories to get through this week. William Shatner is looking for ancient aliens, Tim.
No.
William Shatner discussed the Unexplained's major crossover event with ancient aliens and what Gene Roddenberry knew about extraterrestrial life. Crossovers are all the rage in the superhero genre. But February 12th, a crossover event took place, that in the paranormal field. William Shatner's The Unexplained and the TV show Ancient Aliens combined forces to figure out the mysteries of the universe. Typically, Friday nights on the History Channel include Ancient Aliens, then an episode of The Unexplained. However, on February 12th, History joined the shows together in a 2-hour special. Shatner joining Giorgio Tsoukalos and the Ancient Aliens crew for a special called William Shatner Meets Ancient Aliens. Den of Geek was able to catch up with Shatner and get some insight into what to expect on the crossover. event and his thoughts on UFO extraterrestrial life. This interview has been edited for length and clarity. I'm just going to read a couple of the quick questions. What do you think about the ancient alien theory and the possibility that aliens have visited? Shatner says, well, that's the question that I delve into for 2 hours this Friday on the History Channel from 9 till 11. That is a very overwhelming question, because if aliens did come here or are coming here and that they exist, it means that we're not alone in the universe. And if we're not alone in the universe, if there are other entities, that means there are billions of entities. That means the universe is alive, vibrating with life. Actually, I think that's so. The mysteries are so profound and the meanings are so profound that a fascinating discussion can take place. It took place between me and a group of people who are authorities on ancient aliens, and I had a passionate discourse for 2 hours with them about this very subject. So I have the full article up and all the Q&A that Shatner did and talked about. So if you'd like to check that out, again, just go to darknessradio.com, click on the news tab. Let's go into our final couple of stories here, Tim.
Okay.
Let me see. Simon Cowell's back in the news with A Haunted House. Music mogul and TV personality Simon Cowell brought in builders to renovate his 7-bedroom South London house. The Wimbledon property, which is thought to be worth around $15 million, is now wrapped in scaffolding as work gets underway. The Sun has reported that the father of one is having a huge swimming pool built at the property along with the pool house. The BGT judge and his partner, Lauren Silverman, gained planning permission last March to make improvements to the expensive property. It's also been reported by the outlet that among the list of proposed improvements is an extended sunroom and the addition of a glazed conservation lantern roof. Simon purchased the property back in 2019, but the house has an interesting paranormal history. The previous owner, Christian Levitt, has said that he believes he introduced a ghostly spirit into the home back in 2014. Christian bought a statue of Antinius, who was a Roman emperor, Hadrian's lover, back in 128 BC. But before he even unpacked his historic artifact, odd occurrences started happening at the house. It was delivered in a crate. When I was locking up, I heard the sound of heavy objects being knocked over from the drawing room where Antinius was still lying in his box, Christian told the Sun. The same happened the next 2 nights, but there was never anybody there. The statue has since been taken to a museum, but it is rumored that the spirit still roams the Wimbledon residence. Simon previously said that he would often hear his dogs banging and barking at the home, which scared his mom and dad and the dog, proving it got so bad that he sought a professional spirit whisperer. He shared, the land where my house was on was part of a bigger house. It got so bad we had to call in an exorcist. How about that?
Jeez.
Simon Cowell being judged by the other side. Let me see. I'm going to go. This is our last story.
Okay.
This one's interesting, and people can find this one up at our website as well. A contest offers $250,000 to people with proven superpowers. 10, a tech publication under the Medium brand, just released a story following a person attempting to demonstrate their possession of supernatural capabilities. The story, while creepy and sadly unfulfilling, is a good reminder of the fact that if anyone out there is able to reliably teleport, levitate, mind read, predict the future, or summon X-ray vision, they're guaranteed a $250,000 prize. In one story, 10 follows a man named Gary Arnold who believes he's able to hear voices coming from around what seems to be sort of an electrostatic ether. This ability, while not exactly X-Men caliber, would, of course, still be astonishing if real. Although, unfortunately, it is apparently not, as Arnold was not able to demonstrate his supernatural ability. Despite Arnold's failure, the contest is still going and has attracted some very interesting entrants. The Center for Inquiry Investigations Group, the organization that runs the competition, the Paranormal Challenge, has a running list of people who've attempted to prove their otherworldly prowess, and some have been quite entertaining. One entrant from September 2020, for example, claimed that he could circumvent Newton's laws of motion to prove it. He sent a video into CFIIG showing him with the ability to alter the spinning direction of a glass knob without touching it. The video was so difficult to explain, the organization called in physicists to illuminate what was happening. Turns out slanting a coffee table and rolling glass on glass makes magical things happen. Figuratively, that is. Other entrants have provided very little convincing evidence of exceptional abilities, such as Alperin T, who said he could summon genies. but actually couldn't. Or TR, who said he could emit static electricity from his hands, create lightning in the sky, and teleport. That would totally make him a real-life Storm if he could really do any of that, Tim.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. But if you're interested in being a part of this, you certainly can sign up and win $250,000. I believe that contest is being held by, what's his name? Former owner of... Robert Big Bam Bang Bong Biddly Doo 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 Bigelow.
Bam Bam Bigelow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think he's the one hosting that contest. So that's what's going on in the world. Tomorrow, Bigfoot news. Big Bigfoot news, Tim. And a special guest joins us on the Best in Paranormal Talk Radio. So make sure you tune in for that. And then, of course, tomorrow night, Thursday night, make sure you tune into the live Holzer's Ghosts episode of Darkness Radio, where we look into last week's episode a little deeper and examine the very strange story and all that we were able to uncover, plus some other background stories. The episode was called Don't Send Them to Heaven. And we have a lot of other little oddities to share regarding that story. So make sure you tune in, and that is Thursday night on Darkness Radio YouTube channel, Darkness Radio Facebook page, or my page on Darkness Radio or on Facebook. The audio portion will be made available Friday. So for Tim Dennis, I'm Dave Schrader. You've been listening to the Best in Paranormal Talk Radio. This is Darkness Radio.